Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. And during this last 7 days, most of the major precipitation occurred last week into the early part of the week. For a vast majority of the states, we had two pieces of upper air lows moving across the region. The first one brought heavy precipitation in northern and eastern Nebraska with lesser amounts as you got into around the I-80 corridor, then a secondary area of a little bit in the quarter to a half an inch range around the Kansas-Nebraska border. And the second low came out on Sunday. That dropped some pretty significant moisture across portions of north central Kansas, and south central Kansas, although there were gaps between these precipitation areas. Basically, that was a dry air that was entrained into these storms from those unusually dry areas of the southwest. So in order to see how bad the situation is to our southwest, let's look at the current drought monitor in retrospect to the drought. And we have a wide, expansive area of D3 conditions, which is basically your severe to extreme drought. Exceptional drought, there's just a couple little pockets in north central portions of Oklahoma. And this area has been building back toward the west, unfortunately. Has been limited somewhat for the movement toward the north. And on the eastern extent, we've had some decent precipitation events. So the hope is that we will see a couple precipitation events to at least alleviate some of these conditions, but it's not looking good as we move into the heart of the wheat growing season. Now, as we look at today's upper air model, we do have a trough to the west that was responsible for bringing some of that moisture over the last 24 hours and is responsible for the current ongoing precipitation in eastern Nebraska, and that will slide to our east as the day progresses. We do have a series of low pressure systems to our south and to our west, with the majority of the moisture, at least for today, will remain to the east of us as that first piece of energy from that trough to the west pivots into the eastern United States. And then we see that trough digging into the southwest, kind of splitting a little bit from the northern stream flow. A surface low indicated developed tomorrow, or on Sunday, in southeastern Colorado. And we may see some snowfall to the north and west of there with a little bit of light precipitation showing in eastern Texas. But then that system digs much deeper on Monday. Deep vegetation moisture gets trained up into the central corn belt. We have a surface low over the Texas panhandle. That's going to really be able to move some of that Gulf moisture northward. And that overrunning will basically lay out as a foundation of snow across the Dakotas and Nebraska, northwestern Nebraska, but the heavier precipitation to the south. And then as we go into Tuesday, upper air low slides into the western Texas. Low pressure down in the Deep Bend area of Texas will continue the precipitation trend, particularly from eastern Oklahoma up into Illinois. This looks to be very heavy precipitation, and we slowly see that migrate a little bit farther to the east on Wednesday. Another piece of energy coming from the northern string will bring a little bit cooler temperature to the northern plains, but the main precipitation will still remain to the south of us. Exceptionally heavy precipitation expected once again in the same areas that received it from before. This looks eerily similar to what happened during February in this region. And then by Thursday, we start to see this system starting to move toward the southeastern United States. Surface low situated over the southeastern United States. Widespread area of heavy precipitation. Severe thunderstorms are likely in this area, and then this will start to pivot up the eastern seaboard, particularly as we get into the day on Friday. That low will merge out into the Atlantic Ocean, then ride right up the northeastern United States for another yet snowstorm in the cards for them as we go into late next weekend. We do show some low surface lows in the high plains, but there is no moisture as it remains to the east of us. As we look at the 8 to 14-day forecast, that cool air looks like it's going to stay in place across the northern plains as another surge of cold air comes in. And in terms of precipitation, most of this precipitation associated with that low pressure system will exit out of the region as we go through late next weekend.